What's up, guys? Back for Game 4 of the Finals. Chuck and Nick, a.k.a. Jayhawk, in here today. We had a fun Game 3, I think. Talked about some good stuff, and hopefully this isn't the last game of the series. I don't see how the Finals doesn't end today, though. But Jayhawk, how we doing? What do you think?
Doing good, man. Really, along with you, I really don't want this to end. Obviously, we get to baseball and the Big Three tournament. It's my favorite part past the NBA season. So let's hope Dallas got one more up their sleeve tonight. And yeah,
Yeah, we got some funny business going on because Underdog sent out a tweet. Kristaps Porzingis went through pregame warmup Friday, and I think we were all under the same impression that Kristaps was kind of not even going to be ready until later in the summer. Like he had a serious injury, he was going to be out for months. But I don't know that this means much because it didn't say that like he did it with no problem or anything like that. And even if he plays, I can't imagine he's a full go, right?
yeah, man. They kind of put down his injury a little bit. I feel like this is a bigger injury. Even if he does play tonight, I'm kind of on the same page with you. I think he's going to be limited, almost like in kind of what's the word I'm thinking of? Kind of a guy that they want to have on the court to like distract, but not actually be his full self. So we'll see. I think he's probably limited if he plays, but definitely interesting for sure.
Because the thing is, we talked so much about Al Horford last game. I think he ended up playing 35, 36 minutes. We had him for 33. It's just like, how does this affect Horford's minutes? Because Horford, he was points per dollar the best play on the slate, and that's simply because he's mispriced as if for Porzingis being out. I mean, they barely raised his price today. I mean, his ownership is still reasonable. I think we can go right back there. I am anyway. Projected for 33 minutes. We'll have to see how this adjusts if Porzingis is projected in, though, because I don't think there's any way we can realistically predict his minutes. He could play 13. He could play 0, even if he's active, or for some reason, maybe he could play 21. So hopefully we get that news. I don't know that we'll have it before the stream ends, but I guess we'll have to see.
Yeah, man. I'm kind of with you. Like, even if Kristaps does play here, I think we could probably bump Horford down to around 20 to 25 minutes. But even then, man, like I feel like he's still a solid play on both sides off the bench. So I still like him in tournaments, even if Kristaps does play.
Well, Horford, I'd expect Horford to start since they've been bringing Kristaps off the
Yeah.
bench.
Oh yeah. My fault.
And
Totally
like,
forgot.
like even if Kristaps is in, I still don't see how Horford doesn't play 25 minutes because we don't know what they're going to. We've been talking about them two sharing the court for a few minutes. Who knows if that's something they're going to want to do if Kristaps is limited. But hopefully it just doesn't matter and they just announce that Kristaps is out, 30 minutes before game time. We got Jose early in the chat. What's up, people? It's hard to imagine that Boston wouldn't wrap things up right now, but at the same time, I can't see Dallas getting swept. The thing is, Dallas has looked so bad. Like, my hope for Dallas before the series started is way down because they just look like they have no... Like, how does Dallas win this game? They get hot from 3. They tried it. They played Tim Hardaway for 20 minutes, and I don't think he scored a point since like May 18th or something like that. Like, how can Dallas possibly win this game? Vegas has them favored by a point and a half, or... Actually, no. Actually, Dallas is the underdog now. That might have moved. Earlier, I thought Dallas was 1.5 point favorites, but now Boston. It looks like Boston is the 1 point favorite. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think that's probably the Kristaps news, right? That probably shifted that towards Boston. My
I
assumption is.
I don't think that Kristaps could shift the line 2 points though, because last time I think he shifted it about 1, and we
Mhm.
did just get a new tweet from Underdog. Joe Mazzulla, coach of the Celtics. Kristaps is available if necessary Friday, will only be used in specific instances. So I think that kind of answers our question, at least for DFS. I don't think that we can play Kristaps today. There's just, what does he have to do in possibly limited minutes to be a better play than basically anyone else on the board?
Yeah, right there with you. I think he's pretty much unplayable. Would rather play Horford. Would rather play everyone else on Boston. So yeah, right there with you.
Yeah, I think I'm going to make no adjustments to what I'm doing. So last time I did think Horford could play over the 33 we had him projected, but today I'm just going to stick with this 33 we have him projected for. Maybe even reduce him by like a minute, bring him down to 32, 31. But even at 5,800, I think he underperformed last game, and he's still going to be a pretty good play in that mid-range.
Yeah, 100% agreed there.
And then Jose, what players are we leaving out of our player pool? So I've been using the Occupy Builder to make my lineups for the playoffs, and it's pretty much known. Like, I'm leaving a few of the punts out. I think Sam Hauser is probably going to be the best punt again. Granted, he did shoot tremendously hot from three last game, but the thesis was right that he was going to get a few more minutes. He had the opportunity, and he just happened to make them this time. So I'm going to go right back to him. It's interesting, though, that Peyton Pritchard is actually a little bit ahead of him in the model. I mean, he has a higher DK value. They have the same OF index, but what do you think? Which players are you leaving out? Maybe beyond the punts, are there any like regular starters that you're not interested in playing today?
I know you mentioned Hardaway earlier. I know like it's a do or die game and they might play him a little bit more, but I still feel like he just has not been very good in the finals here. So I'd probably leave him out of these guys lower down here off. I'm fine with Pritchard. I'm fine with Hauser. So I think Hardaway is the main guy I'm kind of leaving off my board here.
So it's like the argument I'm making for Hauser is he's going to play. He's going to get the opportunity to get up shots, and like he played well last game, so I'm perfectly fine going back to him. But with Hardaway, he played 20 minutes, missed all his shots, and it's just I have no interest in playing him again today. Not that I played him last time.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you.
Luka just needs to focus on winning, block out the refs, and involve his teammates, and they can win. Dude, that's asking for three different things to happen. It's a lot of stuff that needs to go right for Dallas tonight.
And also not foul out of the game with 5 minutes left too. That would help as well.
Yeah, dumb fouls too. It's not even so. The foul he fouled out on was definitely dumb, but the worst one was who was he trying to like D up full court? Was it Pritchard?
Jaylen Brown, right? Or was it no? It
I
might be.
feel like he tried to D up someone. It might have been Brown, but either way, just you don't foul someone in the backcourt when it's the finals and your name is Luka Doncic. Let's see. Who would we put at captain for tonight's game? So let's talk our favorite captains. Nick and I, the past couple shows, our favorite captains have been in this mid-range: Drew Holiday, Derek White, Al Horford. I'm still going to go back to that group tonight. I am going to get to a few other guys, but what do you think?
Yeah, I think my favorite out of that bunch are probably either Horford or Holiday. I just feel like White's solid too, but I think with Horford potentially getting lower ownership tonight, with Kristaps playing in Spurs here, I think I like Horford a lot at captain here in the mid tier.
Yeah, especially that his price is still good if he's going to play 32 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and he didn't have a flame on DraftKings last game, so maybe people are going to be a little bit nervous to play him. The winning lineup, I don't think this is what actually won. Maybe I'm mistaken, but so I was telling Jayhawk before the stream started, I submitted my dummy in the single entry, and I forgot to reserve the rest of my lineup, so I couldn't even take advantage of all the good stuff, all the Sam Hauser, Kyrie Irving that we talked about last slate. So I don't actually know that this was the winner in like the big one, but just looking at what we have here, someone mentioned on the previous stream, can we fade Luka? And we said, yeah, that seems great. Just play Kyrie instead. And yeah, that worked out. Kyrie finally showed up, put up 35 real life points, finished with 43 DraftKings points. It's like he had what felt like a ceiling game, and this is not a ceiling score that we would expect from Kyrie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jaylen Brown went off again. Jason Tatum finally showed up. Derek Lively over Gafford. So that's like, I don't know. It seems like it could be a coin flip. I want to say Dallas probably prefers Lively in if they can help it. Just a matter of him staying out of foul trouble. And then, yep, Derek White and Al Horford still love them both. So it's pretty interesting too. I know this is a single entry, but there's some lineups that weren't duped too much near the top. Like this was a solo with Sam Hauser. Sam Hauser hits one more three. This guy ships it solo. But it's all like the same group of players, just changing the captain. PJ Washington did fine too. So probably going to be pretty interested in building my lineups the same way today.
Yeah, agreed, man. And I feel like, you could definitely still play a good amount of Luca, but, I definitely am still fine with fading him in balance builds like that too.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about, because people have been asking about how are we getting different, and you're not going to find a solo winner in NBA. It's very, very difficult. And so I think the goal should be just to dupe as little as possible, find those 10-man dupes rather than 100-person dupes. And something that hadn't really worked out the previous games just because of salary. I mean, you couldn't play Tatum and Brown in the same lineup. It was very difficult, but this ended up winning here. We saw Horford and Porzingis in the same lineup winning in game one. So just doing stuff like that where just get combos of guys in your lineups that, people probably aren't typically building, I guess.
Yeah, and then you mentioned Lively versus Gafford. I'm also leaning Lively once again. I just think they prefer him on the court here. So yeah, right there with you with Lively as well.
Yeah, it's awkward because these minutes projections, 25 for Lively, 20 for Gafford. Maybe Jason Kidd changes up the game plan. Maybe he has one of them on the court at all times, but that hasn't been the case. And so I don't know that both of these guys reached their projected minutes. I would expect at least one of them to, probably Lively, like you just said, assuming he stays out of foul trouble. And
Yeah.
does Hauser have another good little game? I hope so. I'm going right back to him. I'd be really surprised if his ownership only came in at 9%, since he was like the field is just loves chasing the guy that went off last game, and he is the bench guy that went off last game. So I'm going back to him. I'm kind of hoping Pritchard's ownership is lower than Hauser, but maybe that $400 helps you get to a different lineup. So I'm interested in Pritchard again, but the same thing that I mentioned on the previous stream was that when he's on the court with, Derek White, Jaylen Brown, and Al Horford, he just has no usage. He's kind of just there. He'll hit, he can hit the open three, but he's not running any type of offense. So it's much different Peyton Pritchard than if, all the bench guys are in and he's playing in garbage time, or even like what was going on in the regular season. So it's a little bit scary to go there, but it's scary for everyone. And so I kind of still want to get to Peyton tonight.
Yeah, I feel like, with Pritchard and Hauser, it's kind of like whoever's hitting their shots, like you mentioned. Pritchard comes in, hits his shots, maybe he sees extra run. Hauser obviously hit his shots last game. So, I wouldn't, totally hate taking a stab at Pritchard as well, but I would prefer Hauser, like you mentioned.
And then this doesn't even display right on the screen. All right, so this is going to be a little bit weird looking for a minute, but I'm just going to hide our faces while we look at the rotation from the previous game. So it's super interesting because I've never seen an NBA team in the finals go 11 deep in the first half, and that's what the Mavericks did. These five, Hardaway was on the court before Josh Green, and then Josh Green ends up playing like the last 15 minutes of the game, and just nothing made sense about what Jason Kidd did last game. And then that timeout he called when they were on that run, and he tried to justify it, saying, they had a couple sloppy possessions. Luka was getting frustrated, and it's like, you think Luka's getting frustrated? The Celtics were up, and now they just gave up a 20-2 run, whatever it was. So I think Jason Kidd has been coaching so poorly in this finals, and this just, if you're going to play Josh Green, that's fine, but I just don't understand this. And then having Tim Hardaway on the court in the last 4 minutes of a must-win finals game. So I guess the whole point here is that it's kind of hard to predict what Jason Kidd's going to do with these bench guys tonight.
Yeah, definitely questionable coaching there because, Hardaway obviously is known to be a good shooter, but he has not been shooting well. So, and he's awful on defense. So not the best coach in there. I agree.
And I don't get it because this dude put up like I don't know if it was 40 real life points or 40 fantasy points, but he put up some games this season playing 30 plus minutes, and now he's just completely useless. And this is a guy they really need to step up. So with Josh Green playing that whole fourth quarter, Derek Jones lost his entire rotation. And there was a play, it might have been in the first quarter, where he took a three, Al Horford blocked it, and after that he just didn't look aggressive, didn't look to get his. He only played 16 minutes. I don't expect that to happen again, but I guess it's something that we have to consider as a possibility. And as you can see here, they ran Derek Lively the whole fourth quarter. So if they can keep Derek Lively on the court, especially if it's in the closing minutes of a close game, I think we're definitely going to want to prefer Lively over Gafford. But if you're making a bunch of lineups, I still think it's good to mix in some Gafford, because if Lively is in foul trouble, they want a big on the court. They kind of just have to put Gafford in, I think.
Yeah, right there with you. Especially, if Kristaps is playing big stints, he's probably going to be in the heart of the game as well. So,
like Kyrie played basically the whole game. He didn't check out in the second half. Luka is in foul trouble. Luka's tired, man, and this guy's just tired and hurt. Fouled out, lost a few minutes, so 38 minutes doesn't mean much. PJ Washington, 39 minutes, exactly what I would expect. So I'm perfectly fine going to PJ Washington too. Really like him today. Just feels like his minutes are secure. I don't think that he could play bad enough to get played off the court, just because the other option is Maxi Kleber, who's useless out there.
Yeah, I love PJ. I loved him all series. And I think, last game he had, I think, like 2 points in the first half, really stepped it up in the second half. So I think hopefully has a big game here. Game 4.
And then, excuse me, looking at Boston's rotation. So we mentioned Sam Hauser probably plays the most minutes on the bench. He actually only played 14, though. He didn't get that stint in the fourth quarter. Boston basically just went with their starters. If it's a close game, that's what I would expect again. So we're pretty lucky Sam Hauser went off in those few minutes. I still think he's fine, though, at the salary. So I'm still going to go back and hope that he can just, get hot in those couple of minutes again. And then a big talking point was who was going to take Kristaps' minutes or like the backup bigs minutes. Al Horford played 37 minutes in game 3. And so we had Cornet in the model. And I did mention that I think Tillman gets in, and Nick thought this too, just because Cornet played like games 1 and 2 of the Pacers series and then didn't come in again, while Tillman played 2, 3, 4. And I want to say the model tilted towards Cornet because Cornet got the garbage time in game 1. But it looks like, the Celtics are just going to go with Xavier Tillman to alleviate Al Horford. This is exactly 48 minutes here. So they did have a center on the court at all times. So the thing with Tillman is Kristaps going to come in for those 11 minutes?
Yeah, potentially. I'm definitely intrigued to see how their stents are. I would feel like they would be maybe the stents where Tatum or Brown's off the court, but yeah, definitely interesting talking about that. What do you think?
Because what I'm thinking is Joe Mazzulla said he's going to use Porzingis in specific instances, and if it's as long as it's not Dallas is up by a bunch in the first quarter, and I hate to try to guess Joe Mazzulla because he's kind of like getting that Ty Lue reputation where we don't know what he's going to do. I still think that Tillman comes in the first quarter to alleviate Al Horford. I don't know that they're going to run Porzingis given just what we've seen. If Dallas is up, then maybe we get Porzingis, but I still think Tillman gets that run. But then the other question is, even if he gets that run, how valuable is it for a DFS lineup, even at his low salary?
Yeah, I lean not too valuable. I would prefer, I think Hauser, like we mentioned earlier. But if you wanted to take a stab, I don't think it's the worst option, but I probably won't get there myself.
And then, like going back to the game 2 winning lineup, it was basically a balanced build. There wasn't a punt. The cheap guys were Gafford and Derek Jones, and so I think that makes a lot of sense, especially tonight. I mean, the Celtics cut their rotation super short. We got 4 starters playing 42 minutes and Horford playing 37. And so there just isn't that many minutes if it's a close game. And we know that Joe Mazzulla is going to keep his guys on the court in the fourth quarter. Even if they're up by like 20 points with 4 minutes left, I'd be very surprised if Tatum and Jaylen Brown aren't on the court. Just like make sure you win this championship, even if it's a 1% chance, less than 1% chance of Mavs coming back in the fourth quarter. These guys are going to be on the court till the end, even in a 20-point game. And so, yeah, I think I'm talking myself into just trying to get a little bit more balanced and try not to get to as many of these punts.
Yeah, I like that, especially in, Boston. I agree. Like they obviously want this championship, so that makes complete sense to me.
And Jose, you want Tillman to play so you can punt with him? I mean, it's tough. Like we just don't know what they're going to end up doing. And like I said, even if Tillman gets 7-8 minutes, like he hit that big 3 in the third quarter, got a couple rebounds, and it just isn't enough. Even with his reduced salary, it'd be different if like Luka, Kyrie, Jaylen Brown, and Jason Tatum all went off in the same game, and then even like if Derek White and Drew Holiday also put up, I don't know, 35 plus, 40 plus fantasy points, then we're going to need these Xavier Tillman, Sam Hauserds, Peyton Pritchards more to get as many of those guys in our lineups as possible. But, I mean, it's something we haven't seen in the series. It's definitely something that could happen, though, and something we've seen a lot before in the finals specifically.
Yeah, I'm right there with you with that as well.
Let's go back to the model. Just refresh. I don't think we're going to adjust for Porzingis. I wouldn't anyway. Yeah, we're not putting Porzingis in here. Let's see, is Green a better play than DJJ? I don't think so. I mean, Josh Green, 3,000, Derek Jones Jr., he's only 4,000, and he is the starter as long as he's not playing poorly. I mean, I'd love to see Derek Jones get back to 30-plus minutes. We haven't projected for 24. Feels like a very conservative projection. Josh Green for 18 minutes. I'd be surprised if he played 18. I know he did last game, but he was the 11th man on the court. Like he was the last guy off the bench for Dallas. I know he ended up closing the game, but I I would think that Derek Jones gets a little closer to 30 and Josh Green's a little bit closer to 12, if anything.
Yeah, I agree, especially do or die game. I don't think they're gonna. I mean, they may trust Green a little bit, but I think they trust Derek Jones probably more in clutch games like this.
In theory, I mean, they didn't trust Derek Jones last game. Hopefully, he just makes his first three and catches that or catches a lob or something, and
Hmm.
just catches a little swagger in the first quarter because they need him. Like I'm talking about, PJ Washington should be on the court 40 plus minutes. Like Derek Jones should be on the court 30 plus minutes. Just get a couple of rebounds, hit an open three, and just play defense, man.
Yeah, I feel like he's like their spark of energy that they need on their team. So I mean, I don't get it either. I feel like he should also play 30 minutes. So I'm right there with you.
Let me see. Looking at like my exposures. I didn't do this on purpose, but my most exposed captain is actually Luca, Jalen Brown, Derek White, Drew Holiday, Al Horford in that order. And then one Sam Hauser captain lineup. So that's kind of the situation I was talking about. We'll put a punt at the captain and then get five guys who actually play 40 minutes and, hope no one else scores fantasy points outside of them. But
Yeah. We kind of haven't touched too much on Tatum, but do you
Mhm.
have a like hard stand on him versus Brown, or what's your kind of scenario, or what are you doing to know this?
well, maybe I was reading too much into like the home away splits, but I was more interested in Tatum in game 3 than I was the previous games. But like he had a really good game.
Hmm.
31 points, only had 6 rebounds and 5 assists. The rebounds were down. The assists were down from what we saw in the previous games. Of course, he was actually hitting shots this time. I don't know. It's just tough. That 2,000, like, what's the price difference with Jalen Brown and Tatum today? 1,600. I mean, you can do
Yeah.
something with that 1,600. That's the difference between Josh Green and DJJ, for example. And I mean, Jalen Brown is the finals MVP right now. I don't know what Tatum can do today to take that finals MVP from Brown, but I'm pretty sure Jalen Brown's going to be the finals MVP. So it's interesting because I think he's been outscoring Tatum every game this series.
Yeah, he's been incredible, man. I'm right there with you. I do prefer Brown. I know it's probably not a hot take, but he's just been playing so good this postseason, man. So I agree that 1,600 that goes a long way in lineup construction. So yeah,
Power, yeah, Jalen Brown's going to get finals MVP. Yeah, he was the odds on favorite last time I saw. I'm sure he still is.
yeah, he's
Sorry, I'm getting like 3 calls right now. It's not
you're
normal.
popular, man. NBA
Yeah.
I mean, game four.
Everyone's just excited. Chuck, who do we play today?
Exactly.
Jayhawk, can you take over for a couple minutes? I have to answer this.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, thank you.
Yes,
Go back to the model.
yeah, no worries. Yeah, so let's just talk about kind of lineup construction. Like Chuck mentioned earlier, I was getting to a lot more Dallas. Me and Chuck were talking pre-stream. I just think Boston should close out this game, but I think Dallas, do or die game. I think for DFS roster construction, I do prefer Dallas here just a little bit. So I was getting to obviously a decent amount of Luca on DraftKings, decent amount of Kyrie. I think between Luca and Kyrie, probably I do lean Luca here. Game four, do or die. Obviously, we can't expect him to get quick fouls here. So, yeah, I do prefer Luca to Kyrie on both sides here, DraftKings and FanDuel. But Kyrie I think is solid as well. But I think if I was picking one, probably would be Luca. And then, yeah, I wasn't getting to too much of the punts, like you mentioned earlier. Like Hauser as a punt if you want to get there, but I do prefer the mid tier build as well. So.
Nice. Sorry, I missed whatever you said. Someone calls you 3 times in a row, you kind of get worried, but no,
You're good.
everything's fine.
I
So
just briefly talked about just lineup construction real quick.
okay, nice,
Yeah.
nice. Let's see. If you guys have any questions, we'll be here for probably another 5-10 minutes. Throw them in there. I think we've pretty much went through all the stuff that we want to touch on. Jayhawk, was there anything we haven't talked about that you think we should go over?
Um, I wanted to touch on Gaffer and Lively. We touched on that. Maybe between Derek White and Holiday, do you have a strong stand between the guards there, or yeah, let's talk about that.
I don't know if I can even answer this because I'm so biased towards Derek White today because of my best ball sweat.
Hmm.
So it's like looking at the Vegas lines though. Like if you play pick six, the line's on pick six. I'm pretty sure they all favor Derek White today, and they're a little bit against Drew Holiday. I mentioned this that Drew Holiday overperformed in game two, and then he kind of came back to earth in game three. And so for that reason, I kind of like going back to Drew because he was bad last game and Derek White was good. But if their ownerships are really going to be this close, I mean, to me they're very very similar. I guess the $600 might make a difference, or like the money at captain might make a difference. But I kind of just want to be pretty even on both of them with a slight lean towards Derek White.
Yeah, that was kind of my stand. Was like I prefer White as well, but I mean, I don't know. I've just always preferred White as a player as well in terms of DFS and real life. So I'm also kind of biased towards White as well.
Could we go over some FanDuel? Did you touch on FanDuel
I have not. No,
in that
I
minute?
was just touching over DraftKings.
Okay. So I haven't been playing on FanDuel, but I think you have, right, Jayhawk, during the playoffs?
I've been playing a lot more postseason FanDuel. So
you have any specific takes over there? Maybe MVP star combos or guys that you like in the utility that maybe other people aren't getting to?
yeah, so I'm taking a hard stand tonight on Lively and the util, and then obviously I'm really taking a stand on Luca over Kyrie. So I love Luca at the MVP, and then I think you can run Kyrie at the All Star, but I obviously would prefer Brown if you could get up to him or Tatum. But I think Kyrie's solid, and then PJ Washington's like my favorite pro play today on FanDuel. So, and then obviously we mentioned Horford. I love Horford. I just think for value on FanDuel, it's kind of like once you dip below 9K, it's really difficult to find safe guys below 9K. So it's kind of my stand there.
Nice. Do you think if we have Horford and Holiday in the lineup today, they are vets, they know they can close this game out? Do you think we have... I'm not sure what question you're asking, but if it's like... I feel like it might be minutes related. I mean, Horford, I'd be very surprised if he played less than the 33 we haven't projected for, and then Drew Holiday is going to play 40 plus almost no matter what. So if that's the question you're asking, then yeah, I think they're both going to be on the court basically the whole game. Mm-hmm. If I misunderstood, just throw your question in the chat again. Will Gafford play more minutes if he starts off hot, or is he too much of a liability guarding the perimeter? It's tough because I'm pretty sure he's been checking out super early into the game. I don't know if I know you guys can't see this right now, but like he played 5 minutes, checked out, came back in for the last 2 minutes of the first quarter, got this like 2 minutes in the second quarter, and then his rotations were just so short. So I don't even know what he has to do in those minutes to stay on the court over Lively. Like I didn't even realize Lively actually did play 30 minutes last game. Gafford played 16, so they did basically have one of them on the court for most of the game. I imagine that other like minute and a half was maybe Kleber was at center or something, but I don't know. Yeah. Like Gafford's a contrarian play. I think Lively is the guy more likely to get the minutes. It's just a matter of him staying on the court.
Yeah, I'm just kind of taking a stand with Lively. If obviously if it doesn't work, it is what it is. But I just think as long as he stays out of foul trouble, they're going to have him on the court. I think so.
Okay, nice. That was your question. Exum as a punt. So we saw in game two, an Exum lineup was the second nuts, and it finished like 6 points behind first, but it was still the second best lineup. Exum had like 5 points, and it's just a matter of the salary relief getting you to the other guys. We don't have Exum in the model today, but he played, I guess he only played 2.6 minutes. Did he have that monster dunk in this game or the one before? I feel like it was this game, right?
I think so, yeah. That would make sense.
But either way, they went with Tim Hardaway. Maybe Jason Kidd just wanted to try to get some offense. I mean, it didn't matter. They both were negative on offense anyway. But I don't know. We usually don't have this kind of uncertainty in the NBA Finals because rotations are usually what they are for the whole series. But Jason Kidd has to try something, so he might switch it up. Dante Exum could not play today. There are definitely situations where he plays 0. Maybe there's situations where he plays like 10 or 12 minutes. And so, again, I think it's just a matter of what does playing Exum allow you to do with the rest of your lineup, more so than is Exum going to put up 10 plus fantasy points or whatever it is.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's more of what he allows you to do. So I completely agree there.
How many minutes do we think Porzingis plays? So it's tough because my personal feeling is he plays 0, but we're on a show where we're talking about DFS strategy, and so I don't know because we're not going to have him in the model. I like let me refresh the builder because if we have him for like 7 minutes, he'll show up in the builder, but you have to play 10 minutes to show up in the model. I mean, we have Kleber for 9 minutes, so maybe we adjusted it for the playoffs. But let me just like we didn't add Porzingis even to the builder. We have him for 0 minutes, and so I don't know if that's something that we're going to update in the next hour before the game starts. But I mean, I would assume that we have all the news that we're going to have. And Porzingis is like I wouldn't play him in DFS again. It's just a matter of like is he going to take Tillman's minutes and how is it going to affect Al Horford? I still think Al Horford plays 30 plus, so I'm not making any adjustments for Porzingis.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm just pretty much treating it like Kristaps once again out. If it comes back to buy me, it is what it is. But I'm just still playing Tom Horford here. So right there with you.
And how much salary to leave on a lineup? 500, 1,000. So using the builder, I set my minimum salary at 47,000. I do run the max at 50K just in case it gives me a lineup that's maybe a low-owned combination. But a lot of times you probably want to try not to get the max salary obvious lineups because they're duped 200 times. You don't even win anything if you do get first. And so just scrolling through the lineups that I do like, leaving 300, 500, 900, 1,300, 500, 300. So it doesn't look like I'm leaving too much, but like I build with that minimum so far below just to give me some room in case there's a lineup I like in there. But it's probably fading Luka or it's playing like Jaylen Brown instead of Jason Tatum, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of Occupy Fantasy Classic. Never be afraid to leave salary in Showdown. It gets you unique, and it makes constructions that other people won't. So yeah, like I think like even like in like hoping Luka has an off game, like maybe you play Kyrie, leave some salary if there's like a dupe lineups. That might be like probably too aggressive, but just don't be afraid to leave some salary.
Yeah, I agree that might be too aggressive, like playing Kyrie instead of Luka when you have the salary because that's leaving 4,600. But I like the idea behind it, something like that where it just if people are using optimizers, they're probably not going to get that lineup naturally unless they're doing some weird stuff, right? So
yeah, it's the stuff that optimizers won't do that I feel like can separate you in some circumstances. Jeez, can't speak to that.
and we have a couple 1v1s in the chat with some bench guys. Pritchard over Hauser, your personal feelings on it? I probably still feel better about Hauser if this is really what their ownerships are going to be at. So I'm going to go by this. It's just they have more of a need to play Hauser, I guess, over Pritchard because Pritchard's not even getting all the minutes that like Drew Holiday and Derek White are off the court. I mean, or is he? What is this? 6.4 minutes. Yeah, so there was like a couple minutes where they didn't have these two guards on the court. I need to double check that later, but I don't know. My personal answer is probably Sam Hauser. The model barely. Actually, Peyton Pritchard actually went up a little bit, so the model prefers Peyton a little bit more than it did a half hour ago. I'll just say if that 400 can do something for you, then play Peyton, no problem. If you can get to Hauser, I prefer Hauser, but the field is probably going to prefer Hauser too because he's the one who had a good game last time. So just balance that.
Yeah, I also prefer Hauser, so we're 2 for 2 there.
Would you play Holiday White in the same lineup on FanDuel?
I don't think so. I think I'm probably maxing one of those cards there. I just think you could. I just think in terms of upside and showdown, I probably would want to play one of those cards.
I wouldn't set a rule for it like max one, and I'd be okay with lineups that get two. I'd be okay with lineups that get one. Like I said, I didn't build FanDuel today, so I don't know how it is, but I imagine I'd probably end up with one of them in most of my lineups, just looking at their salaries and how high they are in the model already. Just seems like they're the guys that kind of help open up builds who still have the potential to put up, scores like these guys at the top can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, they could definitely both get there for sure. If there's like a balance build that one, maybe like Luka, Fade, Tatum, Brown, I think you could definitely get 2 in there.
We got Geek Hippie in the chat giving the winning lineup for FanDuel. I mean, that looks pretty good to me. It just, excuse me,
yeah.
Fading Kyrie and Luka. Just consider like the narrative that you're trying to spin there. You're kind of saying that unless you think Washington and Lively keep Dallas in the game, you're kind of saying Boston wins by a bunch, which I think is fine. I think Just be aware of that. And then
Yeah, I love that Washington Horford Lively combo. That's like my highest exposed pro utility combo right there. So
nice,
I'm just kind of
nice.
mixing in the star and all star and MVP.
And yeah, and you could even get kind of weird with that pro spot. I mean, I could see an
Mhm.
argument for any of those guys being in the pro and swapping the other guy out to like Lively in the pro with Washington Horford in utility, or just any combination there seems pretty good.
Definitely, especially if Lively has a huge game like he did, 100%.
Last man in, Pritchard or Green. Oh man, it's like they're exactly the same in the model, basically. You have
I'm
you have
saying
a
Green.
you have a strong answer. You say Josh Green.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Josh Green. Two things because the model likes him by zero 0.3. Totally not the reason, but also I think I'm preferring Dallas and builds tonight. So I'm gonna say Josh Green for that.
I feel like their usages are just both so low. When Josh Green's on the court, his job is to get a rebound here and there, play defense, and maybe hit an open three. And Peyton Pritchard, kind of exactly the same thing right now. So that's a tough one. I don't have a clear answer. Model slightly prefers Josh Green, but in these situations, if you're only making one lineup, look at the rest of your lineup, and if you have any kind of like game script that lineup is telling, or a story that lineup's telling, or worst comes to worst, dude, just flip a coin.
Exactly. Right. Just play them both. Play two different ones.
James in the chat, tonight is the last night of NBA basketball. That is a fact. Hopefully we get a game 5 so we can come back for one more. But if this is the last show, appreciate you guys watching all year. Appreciate you guys showing up for the finals too. It's been a fun season. Hopefully we can run it back next season, and we can have some more fun with DFS.
Yeah, super fun, super profitable season for all of us here at Occupy. I think we all had like takedowns at least once this year, so it was definitely a really fun year.
Yeah, I only had a couple, kind of below what I would expect, but that's the year-to-year variance. It's going to happen. Maybe we just all ship the finals game 4 tonight, and that makes our whole season. So that'd be nice, wouldn't it?
100%. Let's do it, man. Let's ship tonight.
And I'll get this last question. Will Derek Jones Jr. get his minutes back? We only have him projected for 24. I haven't seen what any of the other sites have him projected for. I'm assuming it's going to be similar to this, though. And I'm going to use this as one of the edges on the slate. I don't think he only plays 18. I'm going to project this as if he's playing like closer to 27, 28. And I'll be a little bit over this 18% in the flex ownership on Derek Jones. Just his salary is so good, and it's close enough to the punts, and we know he's starting. He'll have the first crack at scoring fantasy points, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. I like him, and especially on FanDuel, below Derek Lively, he's like my second favorite guy below 9K. So
Nice, man. So we'll be in the Discord. Maybe something happens. Maybe we get another news tidbit on Porzingis. But either way, we'll see you guys. Thanks again for watching, and good luck. Have fun this summer. Just in case, we'll be here all summer. I usually do the streams with Chris a lot. We stream best ball over on Underdog if you're interested in NFL. I did an NBA best ball stream a few days ago. They dropped their NBA contest for next year. So if you're interested in that, check those out. Pop into the Discord. We talk about the Underdog stuff too. So we will be around, just not talking about NBA.
hopefully we are one more time.
Hopefully, yeah. And we'll